Today's episode features Anthony Armstrong, a real estate agent whose journey into the business started with a total career pivot, stack of flashcards, and one look at trigonometry that made him say, absolutely not. What followed was a path into real estate that became much more than a job. In this conversation, Anthony shares what it means to coach clients well, communicate through the jolts, and build a business rooted in legacy, service, and real relationships. And yes, it all starts with the story of a full piano showing up at his front door. Let's jump in. Today, I'm excited to have with me Anthony Armstrong. And Anthony is going to tell us about his journey and some of the little hiccups, maybe even a hiccup that we ran across today, too. So, Anthony, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here.
Hey, what's going on, Brenda? Thanks for having me. Yeah, there's definitely some hiccups in this real estate business. The things we do for our clients, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yes. So I do want to touch on that because it was funny. As we were logging on this morning or for today for the show, Anthony says, someone's at the door. I just had something misdelivered. So tell us a little bit about that one because I think it's funny for our viewers.
Yeah, so I have 4 kids and I have a wife. So you can imagine that there are generally packages that are going to show up at your house and at your door that you didn't necessarily order. And I'm like, that's fine. I get it. But this one was obscenely large. And I'm like, what is blocking my view out of the front door? I opened the door. It was an entire piano. And I'm like, who ordered a piano? I know I got a couple of birthdays coming up. My birthday just passed, but I'm like, I didn't ask for one. And I looked around, I couldn't see the label. I'm freaking out because I'm joining you. And I'm like, I got to get on this podcast. But there's a piano at the front door. I'm like, I'm just going to leave it here. Somebody's going to claim it. And then my neighbor walked up and then I helped her carry it back over. So we helped place the piano in the proper residence. It does not go with me.
Good. That's funny, though, that you had the thought of, wait a second. Does it belong here or not? I don't know.
That's the thing. Like my mother-in-law, she would have sent the piano. Like if her grandbabies said they wanted a piano, it would have been here. It would have been
That's a
here,
good
and I wouldn't have had
grandmother.
anything to do nothing about it. I've just been putting it together, I guess.
At least pianos come already put together. You don't have to. It's not the thing with a million pieces and the
That is
long
true.
instructions that take you all night to get it put
Could
together.
you imagine? Like, could
No.
you imagine the instruction manual to string a piano? Like, no, thank you.
No. And I used to play. So, I know there's lots of things that would have to connect. So, no, I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, back to the story. Tell me a little bit about your journey getting into real estate. And you've had a life ahead of real estate too.
Yeah. So my journey into real estate, I skip all the juicy stuff, but essentially when I left my previous career, I didn't know which direction I wanted to go. And then I dabbled with going down the teaching and coaching ranks, right? I was like, okay, I can do that. And I was doing the hours. I was studying in different classes, visiting friends that were teachers and coaches. And then it got to this time to study for the test. And I ordered the flashcards and all this stuff, right? So the flashcards show up and I rip open the plastic but for whatever reason, I opened them up, I guess, backwards because the first card I saw was trigonometry. And I was like, oh, no. I'm like, I've never taken trigonometry. I don't know what this says. I have to learn this to then pass the test and then teach it. I was like, yeah, nah. I put those note cards back up on the shelf and I said, I'm going to pick a different path. And at that time, that's when those fix and flip shows were big. You could just see them find a house, they flip it in 30 minutes and then boom, they make $50K. You're like, all right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be an investor.
They make it look so easy.
Yeah, right. So I get to learning about that, and they're like, you need to have a realtor and a title and a contractor and a lender and this, and I had just moved back to the area. I'm like, I don't really know anybody like that. But I was like, this realtor position seems to be the person in the middle of it all, right? They know everybody. So I'm like, I could do that. I'll get my real estate license, and it ended up being where I kind of got my itch to coach in the real estate side of things, like working with clients, new clients, and, even if they're like a second buyer, sellers, nonetheless, coaching the clients. That's where I kind of started to find that I enjoyed working with them. I enjoyed that process, just educating. And then frankly, when I bought my house, I was a young guy and I didn't really know much. And it's not that my agent was bad or anything, no disrespect, but there were some things where I was like, man, I wish you would have chipped in some experience, some information that, hey, you know what? I've in my personal residence, I had this happen. I'm seeing this here. Just want to bring it to your attention. And
Mhm.
so, that's how I kind of try to approach it now, just be able to educate my clients, make sure they know what they're getting. And I've enjoyed it a lot so far. It's been a bumpy ride now. It's not all hugs and Hallmark cards, but it's been rewarding for sure.
Good. It's definitely not as easy as they make it look on TV. So it is not as seen on TV, but it is something that, I've been in the business for 25, 26 years. So, and I'm still here. I love it. So
Yeah.
how long has it been since you got your license?
Man, this is year 12, so I have to
That's a
renew.
while.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I just count renewal times, then you look up and you're like, "I'm that far into this thing." Or you go and have conversations with agents, like I hadn't been out in the field a lot, past few years, and now going out to different networking events and meeting new people, and now I'm the old guy, I'm the OG, with the longest years, most the longest teeth in this game, which is kinda interesting, you reach that status, but it's pretty cool too, to know that I've been able to last this long, and congrats to you for your tenure in this business because it's not easy. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of continual growth, you know what I mean? You have to always be willing to challenge yourself to do better, and it can be rewarding when you do it the right way.
It does. And I like to say, as soon as you think you have seen it all, heard it all, learned it all, then the rules change or something new comes on the market that completely shifts the way we do business. So it is a continual learning process.
Yeah, it is. And even the contracts will be the same, right? It's still gonna be a legal description, it's still gonna be a price and all of that. But every single transaction is different. Every single one. I do enjoy the fact that I can take my clients through the process and it be a relatively low turbulence flight. You know what I mean? It's like you
Yeah.
kind of applaud that pilot. Hey, that was a good flight, right? You know what I mean? That's how I want it to be. The other folks can have some horror stories, but at least when you work with me, I want it to be something that's you knew what was coming, so that jolt didn't really scare you as much as you thought it did. I just try to manage those expectations and manage the emotions through it.
That's a big part of it. And those jolts do happen. And even as the best realtor, it doesn't mean that there are no hiccups that come along. It's just about the way you address it and the way you deal with it and the way you hold that hand of that client to get them through it too.
My thing is just the communication is big, right? Just telling them what's coming up, and then when it happens, they're like, "Oh yeah, you talked about that," and knowing that it's not falling on deaf ears, it's a lot of responsibility being a realtor. It's more than just handing over keys and showing a house. Like when you learn the history of the difference of a family that's a renter versus a buyer, growing up in a home that's owned rather than moving around, there's so much more that you can do for that person and for that family. Right.
Yes.
So I'm thinking generation. I'm thinking legacy type stuff, right? Like, okay, hey, we're gonna change your kids' outlook on what it means to live in a house, right? They can own something, and then that they'll pursue that when they get older, and it just changes the way things can go. So I take that seriously. It's something that I hate when folks get in and out the business like that, but like you got to have a deeper why to it, and legacy is mine.
I can hear your heart talk to that too. That your heart is in it to help the clients that you're working with. Love that. Love leaving a legacy for them too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, along your journey, has there been something that surprised you most or that you felt you had to kind of a bumpy road you had to get through?
I always say that, I hear this too, that you're gonna repeat any lesson that you aren't afraid you aren't gonna go and face, right? Like if you have, for me, it would be just like the financial side, just learning how to count the money of running your own business. I hadn't done that before. Learning like, hey, you got to pay the taxes. And it's like, I got to pay the taxes, but I didn't close on a house. They're like, yeah, but that's not, so you learn that on the go. So it took me to, mature enough and to be able to really dig down and address the financial side of things before I would be able to get blessed with the opportunity to take care of more clients. So it's just, that's been one major one for me. And
Okay.
then you're doing better with it now, but then they just continually show up, right? There's always going to be one little hurdle that you're going to continue to bump your head on until you are aware of it, and then you can make those necessary changes. and improve in that space. So that was my big one, but I'm always paying attention to what the next one could be. I try to be ahead of the curve, Brenda. I don't want to get caught out here not knowing what to do, or at least having somebody that I can call and get the answers for.
And that's important too. Being able to know who you have. You mentioned it earlier, talking about the lists of people to call for different things, and knowing who you need to call.
Yeah, having that resource, and it's like being a pillar of information for your client. Like they're gonna reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you do with a sump pump?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what to do with a sump pump, but I'm gonna help you find somebody that can take care of it." Like you have to learn it on the go, and I can say to grow in this game and really in anything in life, if you can just kind of humble yourself and be like, "Hey, I didn't know that information at the time." But now I do, and I go out to go and work to do better on it, then we'll all be better off at the end.
So, what has been the most pleasant surprise along the way?
The pleasant surprise is being able to work a primarily referral-based business, like at that point to where like people are selling again and they're buying
Mhm.
again and they're sending family. Like I have this one family tree that like I should be in the middle of it because I've helped one brother buy their first house, him and his wife, and then now I'm helping his younger brother buy their first house. Hell, I was the officiant of the first one's wedding. Now their dad, I met them a year ago. I told them what to do in their house. They fixed it up, and now they're ready to sell. I'm like, you came back a whole year later. Shoot, the mother-in-law. I've helped like 4 different people from this one family, and it's so cool to have clients that are that loyal.
It is.
There's so many people out here that they can
It is,
choose.
and I love that for you because, 1, it's easier for you when they call and say, "I'm so and so's sister-in-law," and you're like, "Oh, great, I loved working with them, I know I'll love working with you." But it's a big factor for them that they get to call you and already have an in with you and know that you took care of their other family members or friends, and that they immediately come with a level of trust that you'll take care of them as well.
And that's the exact way that I want them to be able to, feel confident to pass my name along. Man, I'm appreciative of all the referrals. Not all of them hit, not all of them work out well, but I'm appreciative of them all, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to take care of the people that do get served.
Yes. I remember one of a closing forever ago because the baby is now an adult, but I remember holding the
Mm.
newborn baby during closing while the parents were signing for their house, and I'm holding the baby, and, I remember feeling personally connected to that child as the child grew, who is now an adult, but I remember that, and it was something that, it tied them to me and it tied me to them on a level. I knew when we were looking for houses how they were planning to decorate the nursery. So there are
Uh-huh.
things we get to be a part of that
Very
you don't
intimate.
get in other industries.
Very intimate, and then, like, when you think about that, like, this is off topic, but it's on topic, like, I think you think about gifting, right? Like, what do you
Mhm.
gift your client? I'm like, "You're about to be in a very intense relationship with these people for about 6 months." I'm talking, like, from the onset, all in their business, and I'm gonna know you for about 6 months, and then I can say going back, you talk about what's the biggest surprise? Having those relationships end like that, and then the communication goes from anytime I call, you pick up to maybe you don't pick up. That's a huge shock. That's a whole other topic. But when you know the people that you're working with, you pay attention to what they're doing, it should be easy to gift because you're
Mhm.
looking at the things that they need and that they're talking about. So
Right.
that's how I try to separate myself because it's something that's thoughtful when I'm giving a gift. It's not just, here's a gift card, $50, because that's what I still give you a good $50 value because that's what we're legally supposed to do. Yeah, but it's a thoughtful $50 value. You know what I mean, Brenda?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. It's something that you've heard them talk about. So if it is the nursery, you're doing something for the nursery that they mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's listening. We get to
Yeah,
listen
yeah. We get to make good friends with these folks, and if you treat it right, you'll have good relationships with them, and then it'll be a reciprocal relationship.
for the long term. Yes. And you're at 12 years. So you are seeing clients do their next sale with you too. The house you sold them, they're in many cases ready to sell now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was big last year for me, having some folks that sometimes they surprised me when they bought the house. And we talk about repeat clients. I was fortunate to have a client that they bought their first house and he's like, "Man, I wish I would have used you because I used another friend. He's like, he's already out of the business. I think it might have been like 3 years later. And I had been in the business and obviously still am in the business. So I had helped them sell a property, buy land. They built on it, sold that property, and then bought another property. So like I'm right in the middle of them, being able to set up a great life for their family. And that's pretty cool
It
to be able
is.
to be a part of.
It is. So, one of the things I would like to talk about on this show, because the name of the show is Just Show Up, what's the one thing that you must always show up for, whether it's for yourself personally or for your business? What's the one thing?
Man, that's a great question. I feel like everybody would go and I want to say, "Oh, you gotta show up for my family." But over just the recent years is being able to show up intentionally, but making sure I show up for myself. And I did that today actually. I had trained I do some training, personal training, and it rained, and so we canceled the class, and I could have went home and was like, I'll go home and I'll work on my courses. But then I was like, let me go check out. I'm gonna go to this gym. I just joined one, and I went to it and I got on the stair stepper and I had my tablet. So I still got to do my courses, working on, I got to renew at the end of the year. So shout out to me for doing it before December.
Early. As a worker, I love to hear that.
Oh, yeah, it takes it that long to finally realize. So, hey, if you're listening, don't wait till the last month to renew.
Right.
Okay, don't wait. It's the stress you don't need. You know what I mean? You should be
Yeah.
focusing on holidays and stuff and closings. But I went to the gym. I got on the stair stepper, and yeah, I've had a great day since then. And I can say, like, it was good to take that 30 minutes to focus on me, do something that's going to be beneficial for me. You have to fill your own cup. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You get in this game, and my analogy is you leave the real estate school and they give you like a stack of wood, a hammer, and some nails. They just drop you out of a helicopter in the ocean. Half your stuff sinks, and then they're like, build a boat. And then that's how you're going to make your business go. And you're like, but what do I do? You're like, well, you learned about it in school, right? Like, that's how it is initially. And it takes a little while to kind of get yourself built out and give yourself a little structure around it. So if you can show up for yourself and at least know that you're building some resiliency through the exercising, you're handling your stress, you're handling the cortisol levels, you'll be able to handle this business because it's not going to be easy, but you have to prepare yourself for battle.
You do. And you're so right. Because even, there are times you're going to be busier than others, and you have to learn how to deal with the times that are not as busy. I mean, there are times that are crazy, and you hope that you have set some processes and procedures in place to help you get through that, to help you navigate that extra business. And you're doing that in the slower times. Setting
Yeah.
setting yourself up for success is so important.
100%. I've done the up and down. You prospect like crazy, then everybody gets under contract, then you're busy showing them, and then they all close, and you're like, oh no, I don't have it. I don't have anything in the pantry now. So finding a way to stay out of that cycle and staying a little bit more steady is the ultimate goal, right? That's the ultimate goal. And it's going to take some ups and downs. And you mentioned having the busy seasons. Everybody's going to have them eventually, but then taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health will give you the endurance to serve that many clients. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll say that how people will be like, hey, do you want more leads? I'm like, I would love more leads, but honestly, I need to have the system to handle the leads. Like if you send me 50 people right now, I'm like, I couldn't service them appropriately, like the way that I would want to, right? So let me get my systems right so that I can handle that, right? So same thing with your body and how you handle yourself. That should be an integral part of how you run your business, is how you take care of yourself. Because frankly, if you're not in it, then you can't really have any success. So you got to take care of you.
You do. And this is a business where our clients, even though we surround ourselves with help for different tasks or different layers of the business, ultimately they're coming to you. So you are the center most important piece of that. So they're coming to you, and you need to be ready to take care of them.
Yeah, and they get to know you, and you may know them on a more personal level depending on the relationship. So sometimes it's not just your real estate side that will get you the client. Like a lot of my people, they use me because they know me. You just said that, Britt. They use you
Mhm.
because they know who you are as a person, and so if you're a person that shows that you take care of yourself and you take care of your things, and they will think that you're going to take care of them as well.
Yes. So that brings me around to another question too. When you first got into this business, think back 12 years ago, because I always like to bring something around for newer agents that might be a good tip for them. And where do you think most of your business came from? How did you get started
Mm.
finding clients initially?
I started out by just kind of telling people that that's what I was getting into. As I started to connect with some friends and some, different people, I just said, hey, I'm getting into real estate. And then, fortunately, some of them were crazy enough to say, hey, will you help me? And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. I remember the first house I sold was one of my cousin's houses. I helped them buy the house. And then, some changes happened and she's like, hey, something's wrong with the house. And I was like, oh my gosh, but it wasn't the house. It was another situation, but still, I was nervous. I didn't know, you know what I mean? So you just
Uh-huh.
had to start out by telling people what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You can't hide it. The saying is you can't be a secret agent. And I've been a secret agent for a few years, and then your pipeline will hurt from that. But you can still stay thriving if you start taking care of your people. But the biggest thing is to tell people that you're in the business. And I'll say this: if you imagine yelling across the biggest highway you got in your city. Now here I will always use 635. That's what I feel like real estate can be like. It's like, hey, I'm a realtor, but it's like they can't hear you. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's a stranger, you may not be able to connect with them. But there's people that are nearby you that you could talk to that'll hear you. And then they may pass you some people or they may use you. So I would say start there, start with some of those easy wins, start getting your feet underneath you because frankly, it can be tough to try to meet, a random stranger, a random lead, and that's your first person that you're talking to. It can be very disheartening, really. You'd be like, you know what? Real estate's not for me. I don't think I want to do this anymore. Calling strangers, not fun.
No, but if you can reach out to people that you know and continue that, I don't know, like that snowball effect,
Yeah,
continue to
yeah,
grow it and grow it and grow it over time, then it becomes a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. It is for me. It's always been just about the activity, and when I say that, it's not me calling Brenda and expecting Brenda to then let me help her buy or sell a house.
Right. Because when you call me, I may not immediately say, oh my gosh, thank you for calling me because I need to sell my house. Like today, can you come over and list it today? It doesn't work quite like that.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
doesn't. But I know that if I'm dialing, if I'm making calls even to past clients, and if I'm being active in the business, I tend to have business come to me. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
Yes.
be active in the business, and it's helpful to start talking to people that trust you and know you already, and then you can cut your teeth with some deals, and then you'll gain some confidence to talk to some to folks that you don't know, and then it'll just grow from there.
I love that. This has been a lot of fun today. As we kind of wrap up, is there any last story or anything you'd want to share with our audience to leave our audience with thinking today?
Man, I'll just share like my little playbook for success, if you will, in any avenue. It could be in real estate, it could be in sports and weight loss, whatever it is. But it's a 5D playbook, all right. And
Okay.
the first one is that you need to know your desires, right? Why are you doing this? Why are you here in this space? I generally say if it's to make money, then you need to go deeper than that. You're like, I want to make a lot of money. Like, okay, but why? Why? Said it earlier. For me, it's legacy. It will be
Hmm.
different for everybody. So you figure that out. The next thing is you figure out your destination. Where do you want to end up? Where do you want to end up? I'm a person that's like, dream, baby, dream. Give me the big one. I played in the NFL. All this stuff behind me, that's not just fandom. That's me. I played in the NFL, little kid from Carrollton, Texas, found my way into the NFL by hook and by crook. I don't know, but I dreamed big and I made it happen. And that's why I try to tell people to do. Pick a destination and let's just figure it out. That'll give you the direction to go to. After that, you change your decisions. You'll just start making better decisions that align with where you want to go. I'm not the one that's going to beat you down and say, hey, don't do this and don't do that. I'm just going to say, where are you headed and does that decision take you closer to it? Easy as that. If it does, proceed. If it doesn't, you can govern yourself accordingly, but it's going to take you longer to get to where you want to end up. After that, you got to have some drive. You got to have some dog in you because it's not going to be easy, right? Everything's not going to be easy. It's going to be pushing a heavy rock uphill sometimes, but you'll be better for it. You'll be better for it. And the last bit is that you got to deliver. You got to deliver. You get given opportunities instead of asking for somebody to give you something. Sometimes you have to go out there and take the opportunity. It may not be the perfect looking client, but go out there and get the reps. Get the reps of giving the listing, consultation and talking to a buyer. And if you get shot down, so what? You have more to learn from. And here's the last bit. I know that y'all love TikTok. I love TikTok too. It's like an infomercial on you just find them. I've found my way to watching these ceramic teacups get made. They bring them out of the kiln and they're stacked like 6 tall, right? And they're just banging on them with the hammer and chisel, ching, ching, ching. And then they open it up and then it's this majestic teacup. And I'm like, this is nice. It's really nice. Then it has one flaw, and then they break it and they throw it in the pile. And I'm like, why did you throw this away? Like, that was gorgeous. And they're like, no, it's not perfect, but we're going to throw it away. Where what happens is in life and in this business, a lot of times we'll have those broken clay cups, right? We'll get beat up, we'll throw them away. But what you can do is with that clay, you put it back in the kiln and you can make a new pot. You can make a new teapot. Any bit of failure, any bit of hurdle that you go through in business and life, that's experience. You grow from that. You'll be better off for having gone through it, so don't let that deter you from getting to your destination.
I love that analogy too, because we are like that teacup. Flaws,
100%.
not perfect, but always going back in the kiln to become more perfect again.
Yes, indeed.
I
Yes,
love that.
indeed.
What a great way to wrap that up. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I wrote down everything too. So thank you very much. I love your 5 Ds.
I love it. Thank you. Good. Yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's like I said, it's been a lot of fun having you on today, Anthony. I appreciate it so very, very much. And hopefully you'll come back on again someday soon.
Absolutely. You know where to find me.
This episode has been sponsored by HomeSmart Stars. Agents, do you feel unseen, unheard? Maybe wish you had better commission? Maybe wish that you were welcomed and encouraged to just show up as you are and be your true authentic self and have all the training and support and tools to help you thrive in your real estate career? If so, then you need to reach out to HomeSmart Stars and make HomeSmart Stars your home for real estate.